Hey folks, welcome to Moonshift Audio. This week I'm going to show you a little trick with a few different filters and how you can use self-oscillation to sort of play the filter. You can get some really nice kind of warbly spaced out effects this way. Without wanting to get too technical, self-oscillation is basically what happens when you crank the resonance on a filter all the way up. Resonance boosts the frequencies around the cutoff frequency of your filter, and the more you turn it up, the more these frequencies are boosted. It's a bit like a sort of like really narrow kind of EQ boost. In analog hardware, when the resonance is turned up high enough, you can get a kind of feedback loop within the circuitry of the filter, where the filter starts to amplify little bits of noise or fluctuations in the electrics of the system, and this ends up creating a loop. As this goes round, you end up with a filter acting like an oscillator of its own, and you can adjust the pitch or frequency just by changing the cutoff frequency. This behavior is modeled in a lot of different soft synths, and in this video I'm going to look at Serum and Diva. For the Serum patch, I make use of some of the custom wave shapes that I sampled from hardware here in my studio, which are available for free in my Retro Serum presets pack. There's a link to that down in the description. I put out a new video every week, so please do like and subscribe, but for now let's jump into Cubase and take a look at these filters. Alright, here we are in Cubase, and to start with I've made a super simple beat using a hi-hat loop and a couple of samples I got off a splice. And an initial instance of Serum. Just for a bit of variety, I'm going to use the Juno 60 sub that I sampled here in the studio. This wave shape is available in my free Retro Serum presets pack, which I'll put a link to in the description. And I'm going to draw in a really basic set of notes here. Try that. Lovely. I'm just going to pull the sustain and the decay down. Okay, so let's turn on the filter and put the resonance all the way up to the top. And you can hear straight away you've got that kind of, it's almost playing its own note. The self-oscillation kicks in, modelled nicely by Serum here. We get that kind of sine wave-like tone. It's like an overtone. Just to set this off, I'm going to throw on a couple of effects. I'm going to put a delay in. We'll put that to dotted, maybe ping pong. And we'll chuck some reverb on there as well, because this is going to be, I like using this as a kind of quite spaced out sort of backgroundy, almost like a pad-like effect. Now what you can do once you get to this stage is you can just tune this by ear to something that complements the notes that you're playing on the actual synth. So let's put some drive on this. You can hear that just sort of softens it, roughs it up. I might even push the drive even further, pull the volume down. I'm starting to like that. So what we're going to look at now is how we can modulate this in an interesting way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with the velocities on these notes. And if we now go into Serum, the matrix, choose velocity as our source, destination, filter cutoff, and I'm going to put an aux source here as macro 1, just so we can control the amount of this. I'm going to put this fairly high, and we'll come back. And what we should now hear, if I turn this up, is the filter cutoff moving around quite a lot when it comes to the different velocities of the notes. And we can adjust the amount of this modulation. So we're getting a really nice spacey sort of effect now. I'm just going to pull these down so it's all just one note. Because this is where you really get the character of the different filters coming in. So if we switch this up to a 24 dB per octave filter, or down to a 6 dB per octave, we really hear the character of those filters coming out. I'm going to put those notes up again. And what I particularly like when we're playing around with these kind of really high resonances are a couple of slightly unusual filter types that we've got in the MISC section. For example, the French low pass. It's a bit softer. But it's got a big low end. And the German low pass. Much more thin sounding. This reminds me of a Dupfer style filter. Pull these notes down again, and let's just put this macro up so that we start to hear that lovely modulation. Almost got a kind of sample and hold-esque effect with this. But obviously we have got control over the pattern that that filter's playing with the velocity here. We could also add a subtle bit of modulation. For example, maybe this slight movement. Loosen that up. Put a little bit of this on here. We could also come into the matrix and make this affected by the velocity as well. Just some really nice ways there of getting the filter to work for you in quite a musical way. So just to show you a different example of how different oscillator shapes and different filters can create slightly different effects, I'm just going to move this same set of notes down onto a track that's got an instance of Diva on it. I'm using the Moog style oscillator section and the Moog style filter here. It's a ladder filter. And if we pull this down to 0, which is called emphasis on this filter, we can hear I've just put 3 slightly detuned oscillators. So this is just straight, and if I now push up the got a really nice kind of metallic edge to this one. And if we now put, say, some chorus, lovely and wide, get some delay on there, and now we'll start to pull up. One thing you can start to find when you've got very high resonance on your filters, that you can lose a lot of the low end from your sound. So I've copied these same notes onto another instance of Serum, which is just playing a super basic patch. There's nothing going on in the matrix, so the velocity isn't affecting the sound that this synth makes at all. I've just got a triangle wave and a saw wave here, and it's literally just reinforcing the bottom end. So moving this back to the Serum synth now. Just a nice little technique to play around with there. That's it for this week. If you found this video helpful, please do like and subscribe for more tips, tricks, resources and downloads from me at Moonshift Audio. Till next time.